Tubers, tubettes, and my favorite crowd of all, the crazy people. Are you a boomer like me? Born between 1946 and 1964? Have we not just entered into our golden years and supposed to be relaxed and retired and all that happy stuff? But over the last, not month, but the last year, 2 years, maybe going back 3 years, under the current economic conditions and the current economic climate that exists in America, have you not been struggling like so many others just to meet your basic needs economically? Food, rent, gas in the car, and leaving the lights on? It shouldn't be like that. But what people are doing now is they're doing what's called a side hustle. So in this video, I want to explain what a side hustle is, how it spreads across all the generations, and how someone of our age actually has more to bring to the table and can utilize a side hustle and possibly find a solution to this problem. Those are the points that I want to cover in this video. All right, so like I said, let's discuss what is a side hustle. It's this thing that's sweeping across America the last 2 or 3 years and has actually picked up steam in the last 12 months because I don't care what the Federal Reserve's chief is saying about how things are getting better or what the current president is telling you how many new jobs have been added and how much better things are getting. It's all a crock in my mind because people, or millions of people, are having to take on additional work. That's a side hustle. You keep your primary job, and then after that's over, off you go. You're driving Uber, you're driving a cab, you're delivering food, you're working as a cashier. The list goes on and on. You're a greeter at Walmart. Whatever you can do to pick up that extra dinero that will help you get through the month. Put food on the table, keep the lights on, feed the kids, get them off to school, buy the clothes, etc., etc. Where a person that is over the age, I would say, of 50 has a lot to bring to the table is because they have something that you can't get a college degree for, and it's not something that you can buy or read in a book. It's called life experience. It's called maturity, and it's called wisdom that simply comes with living. Every year that you live and you learn, and you become, whether you want to or not, much more comfortable within your own skin. You understand what your capabilities are, what your shortcomings are. You've been able possibly to face those shortcomings, and you know your long suits. You know where your strengths lie. What I recommend for people of our generation and of our age, this won't shock you, I don't think, too much, is YouTube. YouTube was a game changer for me, and it came out of nowhere when I really wasn't looking for it. I've lived in Southeast Asia now for 7 years. I lived here for 2.5 years, never gave a second thought to YouTube. You might say, oh, Paul, I can't do YouTube. You've got to have a fancy camera. You've got to have a gimbal. Well, I think that's, you got to have a gimbal. And what word I was trying to find was a GoPro. That's what everybody was using back when I was watching YouTube back in the day. And all this fancy equipment. And you had to have things called software, which I've never understood. And you have to do that on a computer and all this techno stuff. So I just shut myself down to even being open to the idea until someone brought it to my attention that I had actually been doing YouTube videos for 2 years. I'd simply been posting them on Facebook. I had, at the time, this phone. I still kept it. It's like almost 7 years old. It's a Vivo. I don't know if you can see that, a little Vivo. And it cost me 60 bucks. And I bought that when I got over here to the Philippines, and I started filming myself like this, and I would talk to family and friends. I had like 35 friends on Facebook, and I would just make videos about my day and post it up on Facebook, and they would enjoy them. I would show them my apartment. I would show them the beach. I would show them how I was driving a scooter and this, that, and the other. One day, I made a video called Why I Moved to the Philippines. And it was about a 20-minute video where I was feeling kind of melancholy, and I was just talking about my life in America and comparing it to my life out here and what had changed. And for some reason, that one video resonated with a lot of people. A gentleman that had a YouTube channel named Mike, he's since deceased. Never met him in person, but he said, hey man, can I have that video? Can I put it on my YouTube channel? I said, sure, I don't care, it's public, it's just a Facebook video. And he got a big response to it. And then YouTubers that were in the area or outside of the area were contacting me and saying, dude, you need to start a channel. Your content is different than what we've been seeing. And I think you would strike a nerve with some people. And I fought it. I said, no, because I still had the GoPro mentality, and that you had to have a fancy setup and lights and teleprompters and scripts and all these things that I imagined. So I convinced myself I couldn't do it, and therefore I couldn't. And then someone came along finally and said, well, Paul, you can. And the proof is in the pudding because you've been doing it. So if that's what your concern might be about starting a YouTube channel, let me belay that right now. Because if you own a phone, you're golden. When I started it, I had a phone, and that was it. And I just put the phone, I leaned it against some books, and I didn't have a microphone, I didn't have a tripod, and I would shoot my videos that way. And then as time progressed, I started researching, because the sound quality was so funky, microphones. And I struggled with those for a couple of years. And I said, you know what, they all had wires on them back then. And then they all had, if you wanted a wireless mic, you had to download some kind of weird app and then navigate through this app, and that pissed me off and confused me. So I just threw those away. And I said, why don't they invent a wireless mic that you can just plug into the friggin' phone and then clip onto your shirt or your sleeve and talk? Is it got to be that complicated? And I thought that for years. And one day, what do you know? I looked online, and I can't pronounce the company name here because it's in Chinese, but these, I'll show you, in case you're still worried about technology. You know where you plug your phone in to charge it? That's the receiver. You plug it in there. I've got one plugged in right now. And this little puppy here, there's a microphone. This is the one I started with. And you clip that on right here. This costs $10. Works like a charm. Still got it. When I do driving videos, it works better than this one. If you're curious about this one, it's called Larkbird. Comes in a little case, and it's self-charging. $100. And then I went through a number of tripods and found them all flimsy. Finally got what's called a Rode tripod. I think it cost me $50. So I would say that over the last 5 years that I've been doing YouTube, I'm in at about $200. And that's, why do I think you should do it? You may not be physically capable to get up and go out and drive a car or stand all day on your feet. You may not be able, you may not have the mobility, you may not have the, I don't know how to put it. You may not even have the money to put the gas in the car to drive to where it is you're supposed to go work. But what you can do, as you can see behind me, for 5 years this has been my set. It's my couch. And there's my goofy chicken named Gaylord, who's been my little companion and mascot since almost the beginning of the channel. And you will have gifts and you will have talents because you have wisdom and you have life experience and you have time under your belt. So the technical part of it shouldn't be a non-starter for you. You have something that I'm sure you're passionate about, and the range is crazy. I mentioned I live here in the Philippines. I left my home country. I live over here. Been here 7 years. I live in the Philippines. That, my friends, is actually a very, very small niche for YouTube. It is so refined and it is so finite that most people have no desire to get up and leave the country to begin with. Number two, they don't want to come over to the Philippines at this age or late stage of the game. They have family, they have friends, they have a house that's paid for, they've got their hobbies, they've got RVs. They're just running out of money, and they want to supplement it. You can do so much more than I can because my audience, if you believe me, is very limited. But you know what sells? If you were a CPA or a financial advisor and you can go on and you can talk about just simple things for help people budget, especially through these times, that would be a phenomenal video and that would be a phenomenal channel. Cooking is super, super popular. I know a guy that I talked to during the pandemic. He blew up to 1 million subscribers and made $150,000 on one video. And I said, well, what did you make? And he said, what the hell was it he made? He said, oh, I made French fries. It's a 9-minute video of how to make French fries at home because everybody was staying at home during the pandemic. And so maybe you can cook. Maybe you can fix a car. Maybe you know how to, maybe you know something about houseplants. It goes on and on. Maybe you just knit. Maybe you're a recovered alcoholic. Maybe you've been through some trials and tribulations with drugs and alcohol. You can actually hold a virtual NA, AA meeting for people that, again, can't get out of the house and need that meeting. You could really touch some people. You can mentor children. You can educate people. If you're a former teacher and you used to teach grade school, you can go online with a YouTube channel and do 1 + 1 = 2 for kindergarten classes. I can almost guarantee you'll have any parent that's familiar with you that's got a 5-year-old, they'll park them right in front of that video. And you can do things like use puppets and all that kind of stuff to entertain the kids. The list goes on and on. I guarantee you that you have a talent. I guarantee you that you have a treasure. I guarantee you have wisdom that you're almost selfishly hoarding when you could be sharing it with the world. Will you make money overnight? Probably not. It took me over a year to get up to 1,000 subscribers. And then after that happened, I started to receive a check. But you know what? That check, that first year that I did make money, it was 50% of what I was receiving on my Social Security. So that was a huge raise for me. And that was a game changer. I would imagine that if you have something that wasn't so specific like me, being an old guy living overseas in Southeast Asia, like I said, most people want to stay parked in America. They're fine with it. But they can reach a much broader audience with all the topics that are available. You would be surprised at what people will watch. The payoff also is when you do something that's above board or special, especially if you touch someone emotionally. There's been times in my little YouTube career where I have exposed my underbelly, where I have spoken about the darkest days of my life, and I have shared issues with children, with relationships, with financial failures, coupled with some victories. And I cannot tell you how many people wrote to me personally after watching one of those videos and said how much they wanted to thank me, because before they saw that video, they thought they were the only ones that had a kid that was off the reservation with drugs, and they haven't heard from them, and they were waiting for that call from the police, just the way I expressed how I felt. So you might be able to touch somebody that is lonely or sad or depressed and lift their spirits and give them a word of encouragement. You might take that person that's struggling in school right now, and just by going back to basics with ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, you might be able to help a parent get their child that's struggling in class right now. There's 1,000 different directions that you can go. If you know how to change a tire, you just change a tire. Be surprised at how many people don't even know that where their spare tire or the jack is located in their car. They've never done it. People are holding on to their cars for a record number of years now. I think the average age of a car in America is something like 12 or 13 years old. They can't afford to buy a new car. Interest rates, prices of cars, you name it. Like I just mentioned at the beginning of the video, you're having a hard enough time putting beans and rice on the table, much less buy a new Subaru. So there is something I just feel that you could start. You would find a way to do it. If you're worried about being out there, if you're camera shy, belay that. Turn the camera around. If you don't want people to know who you are, you can change your name. You don't have to call yourself by your name like I do. You can just create a title for the YouTube channel that doesn't include your name. You don't ever have to show your face. Yeah, like I said, if you're cooking pancakes, or if you're going to show someone how to make a 15-minute meal for under $5 on the stove, you're going to get an audience, and all you're going to be doing is filming how you do the ingredients, what to mix, how long you cook it, how long you bake it for, how long you stir it, etc., etc., etc. I really found that YouTube was a game changer for me. I think it can be a game changer for you. You can see how fancy my set is. I've been sitting on the same stupid couch for 6 years now with the goofy bird over my shoulder. I have made a zillion friends. I've made some wonderful connections, and I have been financially rewarded along the way. Each year just keeps getting better. And I feel that with you and your talents and your charisma and your abilities, and most of all your knowledge, your wisdom, and your life experience, you could quadruple anything myself or anybody else over here is doing. All right, I hope this video finds you well, and I hope to see you on your YouTube channel next time I talk to you. I'll see you in the next video.